As everyone sort of makes their way in, welcome. My name is Michael Coleman. I'm the owner of Local Health Marketing, and we specialise in web design and SEO for the allied health space. So today is our first webinar for the year, SEO strategies and solutions for growing your practice. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about growing the practice, right? So first thing, which I think is quite an obvious one, is that it requires an investment in marketing. So the only way to really drive more patients into the practice is through doing more marketing and or doing better, with your current marketing spend. So in order to go from 500K per year in revenue to 1 million annual revenue with the same marketing budget, we have to put in some extra dollars or maybe change a bit of tactics. Second thing is driving new patients through the door. Is all about visibility, right? So if we think about our physio that's based in Melbourne and we type in physiotherapy Melbourne into Google, we obviously want to be on that first page and be visible to anyone that's doing that search. So how are we going to drive demand through increased visibility? So the more visibility where your prospects are, so over 90% of the market's on Google. If you are not visible on that page one, you're missing opportunities. So how do we dominate Google? SERP, so the search engine results page. We do that two ways. One is pay-per-click, which is through Google Ads and paying cost per click, meaning we're going to have a bid on every single keyword, and we're going to pay for every time someone clicks on that. So if that bid's $2 and we get 10 clicks to the site, then that's $20. And what it does is it guarantees us, to be up the top of the page. It doesn't necessarily guarantee you'll be in the number one position unless you want to spend, it might be $10 a click, and then you can guarantee, but there's, you have to make sure your ads and your websites are optimized in a certain way. And SEO, so PPC and SEO are just our very simple answers. PPC is really straightforward. But if it's not executed, and it can cause poor performance and waste of dollars. So I've kind of met quite a few clinics that have been running their own PPC accounts for some time now, spending upward of $2.5, $3 a month. And it really doesn't require those budgets, huge budgets, obviously depending on your location. But even if we were in the CBD, I wouldn't even necessarily recommend spending that much money. The reason is that we want to get super tight with what keywords we're bidding on, and we just want to make sure it works. So a tight keyword would be something like physiotherapy Melbourne. A generic keyword would be something like knee pain. Someone searching for knee pain could just be doing some like research. They might be looking for stretches, or might even be a uni student writing a paper. So we don't necessarily want to be bidding on that specific keyword, but if we were to say want to be, we specialize in knee pain, then we kind of want to pick that keyword that we know someone's going to search to find a physio. So something like knee pain rehabilitation, or post-surgery knee operation rehabilitation, something like that. Number 6 is just to optimize the clinic's profile for the search engine. So this is ultimately what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be using the term signals a lot. And it's really just a case of creating these signals around your clinic, around your brand, around yourself as well, like as an authority in the space, and just constantly and continuously sending these signals to Google so that they can find you. So let's talk a little bit about what SEO is and why it's important. So in the previous slide, we know that when people come to this to do a search 90% of people are, going straight to Google. And when they do their search, the top 30% of the page is taken up by Google Ads, and they get about approximately 10 to 20% of clicks. It's obviously going to change per industry, but this is kind of like a bit of a benchmark that gets told to us. And the thing with these Google ads, a lot of people come to us and say, I don't click on the ads, so why should I advertise? And at the end of the day, kind of what I was saying before, if we get super tight on those keywords that we use, and even just starting with, if you are a physio, starting with, physio plus location, physiotherapy plus location, physiotherapist plus location, then, we're not wasting, we could probably get away with spending, $200-300 just on that a month and seeing what happens. And if people don't click it, you still get your brand in that top space. So, someone will kind of read the, top few ads, your brand pops up, and then they see it again down in the Google Maps or down here in the local organic. It might just even prompt them to click that. So, and those that click, and then we're not paying for that. We're only paying for people that click. So if they are clicking that physiotherapy plus location, then, we know that they're ultimately looking for a physio. Next chunk of space is taken up by the Google Maps. So we kind of learn that this is around 60 to 70% of clicks. So a big chunk of that clicks coming from the Google Maps. And that might just be phone calls, directions, clicks to website, but it's just a great opportunity and something that we, in the allied health space, really need to focus on. And the last bit's is local organic. So if we kind of scroll down, then, we hopefully get your homepage or a location page that's ranking down here. Or if we're searching for like a long tail keyword, something like knee, physiotherapy for knee rehabilitation, that might be a blog article that we write, and that comes up in the local organic search. So just to kind of recap, so there are two things. Google Ads, which is kind of what we call the short game, and that is like short because we can literally upload our budgets, create an account, and then the next day we're pretty much live. And depending on how well the site's optimized, but you're in the kind of number one spot or on the first page of Google. But SEO is the long game, and SEO, as you're about to learn, is just all about consistency and really just coming and constantly working on your website. So the first thing they teach you, or you kind of, when you start out in the basics of SEO, is keyword research. And there's a lot of hype around keyword research and making sure you get the right keywords and all that kind of stuff. In the health space, we're kind of lucky because we've really only got that one keyword that really matters to us. So it's the modality plus location. So physiotherapy, Melbourne, osteopathy, Melbourne, chiropractic, Melbourne, and you can even add in the surrounding suburbs around that as well. So, South Melbourne, physiotherapy, South Melbourne, physiotherapy, East Melbourne. Step number 2 is what we call great on-page SEO. So on-page is all about website, so great website SEO and GMB optimization. So as I was saying before on the previous slide, we really want to make sure we get our GMB, Google My Business, right? And that also goes hand in hand with the website. So Google's going to read your website, they're going to read your GMB, they're going to figure out, okay, someone's doing a search, they're in this proximity of where the search is. It's all about this website I'm reading is all about physiotherapy. They're based in Melbourne. They've got some good reviews, which we'll touch on. And I'm going to put them in the number one spot because, it feels quite relevant. So how do we get good on-page SEO and GMB optimization? So this is a big thing that I see a lot of. lots of clients that start with us come to us with a website, and their content isn't necessarily written for the patient. It's got, you know, words that can kind of, or language that sometimes, you know, can go over the layman's head. But what I kind of encourage our clients to do is write copy as if you were having a conversation with your patient. So ensure, you know, the patients are in a safe and they're in a safe place, and you're building trust. So, you know, if we think about it, you're not going to see a patient and they come into the clinic, into your rooms, and, you know, you bamboozle them with, you know, all these words and, you know, something that we experience when we go to a surgeon. You're going to kind of be calm and just kind of take the time and just ensure that the patient fully understands what you know, their issue is, and you know, like what the diagnosis is, and how that can be treated. And the same goes with the website, you know. And I will jump in a moment after I run through this slide into a really good example. But yeah, it's all about, you know, a safe space, supporting the patients the best we can. And the other thing that's kind of like a, you know, our secret sauce is these book online buttons everywhere. And it's not just about having it in the header and on the footer. I'm talking about, you know, after most paragraphs, if it makes sense to put a book online, or book now, or contact us, or inquire us link or a button, just making it super obvious. The more we have, we definitely see a correlation to more clicks from that to those book now pages, and therefore we even see a really big increase in bookings as well. The other thing that I encourage is building what we call dedicated location pages. So, you know, as smart as Google is and all this stuff, we're kind of, we basically target one keyword per page. So if we think about our homepage, we want to target our main keyword. So we're going to go after, again, if we're clinics in Melbourne in the CBD, physiotherapy Melbourne. But if we want to target South Melbourne, which is, or South Bank, which is only kind of like a 5-10 minute walk into the city, we will create dedicated pages to that. So we'd have physiotherapy South Melbourne, physiotherapy South Bank. And the last thing is in your GMB, there are 2 sections in there, if you were to kind of log into your Google My Business, that you can add like some content to. And that's in, there's a section about your business and services. So I would definitely encourage you to write some copy about your business. I think they give us the ability to write 750 words. I would use all 750 words. And in the services, they allow us to add in any service. So our main category is going to be, say, physical therapy, in this instance of the physiotherapist, or a chiropractic, or osteopath. But you might have different services like, you know, you might do men's health, women's health, children's health, and, you know, create those as services, and then just put in a block of text. And they give us 1,000 words, use all 1,000 words. And it's okay to take content from your homepage, from your website, copy it and paste it, slightly change it. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to get as many kind of key phrases and keywords in our GMB, so Google can learn from that copy from your website. And the more information we kind of throw down their throat, the more likely you are to just have a better optimized GMB. Point number 3, and this is, I think, the big thing I want you guys to walk away with today, is just quality content and this idea around authorship. So consistent blogging is a big thing. So if you're kind of in a situation where, you know, we're all like really excited after this webinar, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, got these grand plans of writing, you know, 2 blogs a month, and, you know, you do that for 2 months and then taper off, and then all of a sudden we kind of forget about the blog, and, you know, it was like, oh, you know, come Jan 1, 2023, get excited again, that's going to kind of work against you. You're better off to write, 300 words every single month in a blog post than you are kind of writing one big kind of 1,800 word every, two 1,800 word articles over the year. So the other thing with blogging is you can always come back. You can always publish a blog and come back and write more on that blog post. I actually really encourage that. I think, a lot of people write these blogs and leave them, but the more we kind of update them, Google get notified of that. They're going to come back to the page and say, okay, we've got a whole, what's this new content about? What's this new content about, etc. And that will kind of be like sit in your favor and push you up the rankings. And the other thing about blogs is we want to have a real author behind the blog. So if you guys are writing the blog in WordPress, you can kind of have like an admin login. I don't know if some of you know that or not, but then what happens is the author becomes admin, and that means nothing to anyone. It means nothing to Google, definitely. But so what we want to do is create a proper author under your name. If you're writing the blog, and if you're getting someone else to write the blog, then as in someone else internally to write the blog. If you're outsourcing the blog, then just put it under your name, whatever. But yeah, I do encourage that you have sort of like 2 or 3 authors if you can. If you're just a solo clinician, then that's absolutely fine for it to just be yourself. But what we do to set up a proper authorship is set up what we call a Gravatar account. So you can sort of Google that, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then you can create a Gravatar profile. So you use your clinic email address. So if mine was Michael at physiotherapymelbourne.com, I'd sign up for that. And then similar to how you create a profile in Facebook, it's like the same thing in Gravatar, where you kind of upload your a profile pic of yourself, put in some content, so add in a little bit about yourself. And then the big thing that we encourage is to create links out to other reputable sites that kind of position you as a professional. So the big one's LinkedIn. And then if you kind of just link it to your LinkedIn profile, if you've got a profile, say on like an APRA or some like physio association website, and you've actually got a dedicated page about yourself as a clinician, then I encourage you to set up a link to that, set up a link to your website, to your blog. If you can kind of get an author page, would be even better. And it's just what it's doing here is, Google will come to your site, they'll see yourself as the author, and then they'll say, okay, well, this is their Gravatar. They'll read the Gravatar, they'll go to all these authority sites, and they'll be like, okay, well, Michael is a professional in physiotherapy. And then if you are kind of niche into a certain service, like if it's like oncology, for example, and you're writing about oncology on your blog, and it's mentioned in LinkedIn and other publications around the web, that's linked to, Google will know that you're a physiotherapist for oncology. The other thing that I'm big on with SEO is, so, back in the day, 5+ years ago, SEOers, and they still do today, and the funny thing is, like, it still works, but I just don't know kind of what's around the corner, and I don't love his tactic, but it does work if you want to go down this path. But you can buy links, and that's kind of always been the dark side of SEO. But instead of thinking as, okay, how do I buy links, or how do I get links and all this kind of stuff, I want you to kind of think as links in the way of PR. So there are 2 really outstanding websites that you can sign up for today, and you literally sign up for, it's called Help a Reporter Out, HARO, and SourceBottle's the other one, and you can subscribe to, say, the health industry or health category, and you'll just get an email, and it basically will give you a email, and it'll say, you know, Michael from X news outlet is looking for an article on, you know, home ergonomics. You know, I'm looking for someone, you know, in the health space to make a comment. And then what this reporter will do, or journalist, will come, you know, you'll fill out a form, or they might ask you to give a little snippet of content, maybe like a paragraph of information about why there's this correlation for whatever. And then they'll get in contact with you, maybe for a couple of quotes, or they'll use it for a couple of quotes, but then they'll always link back to your website. And this kind of generates you sort of this authoritative signals that we're really big on, that we'll jump to in a second. And then the other thing is, when we create our blog posts, there's a thing in a feature in Google My Business called G&B posts. And I encourage you to kind of take snippets of that article and drop it into your G&B as a G&B post to social media. And then again, that's just sending more signals to Google. So, and I've sort of spoken a lot here, and it's probably going a little bit over your head or whatever, but I'll just show you an example of a client of ours. These guys are based in Melbourne. And so I kind of encourage you to read through their website. So you'll notice on the homepage, and if you read through the About page, like I was sort of saying before, the content is kind of making the patient, or the potential patient, feel really comfortable. So support that really makes a difference. You know, when you're in pain and things go wrong, you want to know that you're a care and support in the right hands. And you can see, like on the homepage, there's no technical talk. We do mention the services here, but this is all kind of in layman's terms. And you know, we believe a single step forward. So we kind of have like a little bit of a tagline, and we play on that throughout the site. We've got our locations, the actual physical locations, not what I was talking about before, where you can kind of set up location or area neighborhood pages. And we've got some photos, so real photos, smiles, and they're consistent as well of our practitioners, but we also balance that out with some stock imagery as well. So it kind of creates a nice sort of warm environment. And so, yeah, that's like a real big thing. You can kind of get a bit technical. I encourage you actually to get technical on the conditions pages, and then in the service page as well, and obviously on the blog post. But just remember that we are writing for the patient. The book now buttons. So you can see here we've got our book now up the top here. Book online, contact us is the first thing we see. We've kind of got our learn, read mores that aren't as prominent as the buttons, but you know, book online here, book online, contact us, book online. So it's kind of planted absolutely everywhere. And they use Clinico, which most clinics seem to use these days. And I like to just open Clinico onto a separate tab like so, and that way just kind of keeps this tab open, and that's also just a little signal to Google that, you know, we're not coming to the site and just quit, you know, bouncing off straight away, even though we are bouncing for a reason to make a booking. It just kind of leaves that tab open. And then in the G&B, it's not so easy to see, and I'll just try show you. If you do have, I know this is a real obvious one, but I have seen it before. If you do have multiple locations, then create multiple G&Bs. I think that's a given, but yeah, I have seen people with the one location, multiple locations, and the one G&B. But yeah, so the About section we can't really see here. Sometimes it appears and sometimes it doesn't. That's just Google kind of testing. I think because I've been to this location so many times, they're probably hiding it from me now. yeah, we kind of do fill that out as much as possible. Get your booking link in here. Obviously, website, phone number, open times are really important. And just the consistency with this on your website as well. So, you know, make sure you got the same times on your website as your GMB. Make sure the location is like this. So if RD, you know, if roads abbreviated in Google Maps, just do the same on your website. Obviously the postcode needs to be identical, and down here is where we kind of post from our blog. So we're talking about ergonomics and physiotherapy here. We just kind of have this, which is just a snippet we're taking from the blog. What is ergonomics in physio? And then we'll learn more links back to the blog post. So you can kind of take out, you know, 2 or 3 snippets from your article and sort of post that over time in GMB. In SEO land, they do encourage us to post 5 days a week. It is pretty hard to do. So I think if we can kind of, whatever we set out to do, we just are consistent with that. So if it's once a week, perfect, let's just do that. If it's twice a week, 3 times a week, even better, but just kind of being consistent. And then we can just kind of grab this, you know, home office setup and copy that into as a GMB post as well. There is a limitation on the amount of words that we can post, but I can't remember off the top of my head what that is. But just also make sure when you are doing the GMB post that you do have the learn more link back to the website, or if it's a call to action, say like book, then make sure it's the book, and then just link to your Clinico, and just test some things out, see what works and what doesn't work. The other thing I wanted to talk about was just the Gravatar. So yeah, just sort of set up, just Google Gravatar. This is the website. So you just sign in, create an account. The email you use for this Gravatar account is the same email you want to create for your user account in WordPress. Again, make sure it is your like clinic email address, just makes it more authentic. And then HARO is that help a reporter out. Here, the other one was source file. Yeah, so just sign up. So be a source there, and then you just sign up for a free account, and then same with help a reporter out. You sort of like click on the source and then sign up for that. And then you'll start getting heaps of emails, but just put it in a folder, and, you know, maybe once every 2 weeks, just read them, maybe spend an hour just doing a bunch of answers, and you never know, you just get a bunch of really easy wins. The last thing I just wanted to show you was just on this author page. So our author here is David, and we can see down here, it's just got a photo. So the photo you upload to the Gravatar is what will appear in your WordPress site. All right, so that was a lot of info. So I'll move on to the website is what we call the digital brand hub. And so if we think about, there are all these websites around the web that are all kind of going to target and link to your website. So if your website's wrong, your entire brand presence and everything we kind of do is hampered. So what we kind of encourage you, what we really want to make sure is that we get the website right. So, you know, your clinic website's the most important digital asset you kind of own. So we obviously want to make sure, you know, you've got your brand logo, the fonts match, the color scheme. That will just immediately make you look professional. And then, of course, getting some really good photography, just like some really good headshots, and then, you know, just some really good copy is just, can take you so far. And then, you know, the one thing like that I have noticed is that a lot of websites in the allied health space especially aren't really optimized for Google best practice. And I just see that as a really big opportunity for you guys. And so what we're kind of looking at when we say optimize is performance. So making sure the site is super fast, having the content, which I'm hoping I'm hammering home content today, title, keywords, descriptions, images, videos, and obviously the messaging is just getting that really tight and, making sure we've got, the right keywords in place. So if we come to our homepage and we have that big kind of heading text there and it says, welcome to our clinic, that kind of, Google's going to read that and they're going to say, okay, that kind of, we know that this is your clinic name, like, great, we'll rank you for your clinic name. But if you have your heading on your homepage as Physiotherapist Melbourne, then Google are going to read that and say, okay, this is what this page is about. If you've got images that are related to physiotherapy, like Google can actually, like, they've got AI to kind of know so they'll associate, physio bed with physiotherapy, and they might have a reception area with the clinic. They kind of know all this information. And videos are so, like, they're amazing. The more videos you can put together, the more I encourage you to upload those to YouTube, upload them on the website. I think we're just in a world now where we're just becoming pretty lazy, but also just used to watching videos over reading. And I think the younger generation are sort of getting used to that now. So yeah, the more videos we can do, it's easier to kind of describe things and also show your personality as well. I think that's a really big thing. And then this last point is what I've kind of sort of message I'm also pushing across is just investing in the website constantly. So and continuously. So, like, just put a calendar reminder in the diary, block out an hour every kind of fortnight, every week's even better, and just making updates. So, just tweaking the content on a blog post or tweaking the content on the homepage or service page, and just seeing what impact that has. The one really good thing about updating the page or updating, a blog post is, like I mentioned earlier, Google get that notification and they will come back to your site and what we say, like, recrawl it to find out if there's more info. So the world according to Google. So according to Google's search quality rankings, when it indexes, so when we say index, when you start ranking for a particular keyword, the main content of each page, it checks for factors. So that's what I like to call signals. So what's the purpose of the page? So like I was saying before, on the homepage, when we say welcome to our clinic, we want to have the actual purpose of the page. So if we think about what we're ranking for, we're going to have Physiotherapy Melbourne. On the conditions page, we want the headings to be physiotherapy for knee pain, physiotherapy for neck pain, chiropractic for back pain, osteopathy for back pain, etc., and have that as the main heading. And then make sure that there's quality content that backs up that keyword. So a really good thing to do is just jump over to Google and say physiotherapy for back pain. And we have this people also ask section down here. If you kind of click on it a couple of times, you'll see we're getting a whole lot of questions that Google are telling us people are asking. So just answer these. So is physiotherapy good for back pain? Perfect. Which physiotherapy is best for back pain? And just kind of, if it makes sense, you don't want to kind of like answer stuff like, how do you get rid of back pain fast? And it's not necessarily related to you because you know that it's like a long journey sort of thing. Don't answer that. But, osteopathy here, can osteopathy cure sciatica? What is osteopaths? Do osteopaths crack your back? Answer those questions and do that in a way that Just having a look here. Kind of check out what the competitors are doing. But yeah, what you can see here is they've got headings here. So what is the crack? What can spinal manipulation achieve? And just have these headings, like just answer these questions. So you have that question, what exercise to avoid if you have lower back pain, have that as the heading there, and then just answer it with a block of text. Then coming back to this, so yeah, quality content, and also the amount's important. So as we saw there, that web page had like 600 words on it. Maybe you might say, okay, well, I probably want to write 1,200 words and kind of one up them. Although sometimes we don't feel comfortable writing a lot, Google give weight to more copy on a page, unless of course it's just rubbish content. If it's like specific content, then Google will give weight to the amount of words on a page. Website info and info about the content creator. So the website info is really just linking, like I said, to your author page, and then if you can add a bio in WordPress as well. If you have that information there, it just builds trust and reputation and content as well. So reputation is links out to pages like your LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. Will kind of give you that behind the scenes Google reputation. User interaction with the page is super important as well, because if we have our search term physiotherapy Melbourne, and people coming to the web to that homepage and they're spending 10 seconds on the page and they're bouncing. So a bounce rate is someone comes to a page and then they quit, that counts as a bounce. And all these metrics are kind of giving indications to Google that yeah, we're ranking this page, but the interaction's really poor. Google are kind of going to drop you down the rankings, but vice versa. If you have like really good time on page and low bounce rates and stuff, then they're going to give you get that signal. So that's why I like to open up Clinico in another tab, because time on page, if I'd sort of do my thing on Clinico, that might take me 30 seconds or a minute while that page is still there in the background. And then I might come back to that page, and then just click around, and that kind of, maybe I might look for the location, or, I might say what to expect from my first appointment, read a few things, and, that gives some really good signals to Google. This is a big thing that a lot of people kind of write about. I don't know if you guys have come across it, but this kind of so experience, authority, and trustworthiness is like a massive factor for Google, and that's ultimately what we're talking about today. And it's big in the health space. Expertise, showing that through your blog page, authority, linking out to your LinkedIn, and if you're listed on your like authoritative sites and stuff, and the trustworthiness as well. So that comes down to kind of language in a big way. So there are a lot of kind of reports that get published every year, I guess, and they're sort of like surveys that go out to SEOers, and they kind of are asked, okay, what do you think are the top driving factors for ranking in your Google Maps? So this is one that I pulled out that I'm just going to run through. So the biggest ranking factor is the Google My Business Elements. So we're specifically talking about ranking on the Google Maps. So keywords in name, that's a bit of a contentious one because, if your clinic's called Enhance, you're going to have like Enhance as the business name. But what they kind of encourage you to do, again, it's a bit contentious, is have the word physiotherapy and potentially even the location in that name. So, the name should technically be Enhanced Physiotherapy Melbourne. And so a way around this, let's just say you've got that kind of name like Enhance or Equilibrium or something like that. you know, you can kind of register, and you kind of didn't hear it from here, a business name. I think they're about $30 or $50. You can just ask your accountant, and you could technically register Enhanced Physiotherapy Melbourne, and that you'll get a certificate. So then if you do go in and update your Google My Business name to that, and Google will say, hey, what's going on here? You know, they can come back, and you can prove to them that this is my business name. And as long as that's, you know, planted on the website as well, you know, maybe in the footer or the contact us page and stuff like that, then, you know, it will be okay. But yeah, don't kind of try and manipulate it too hard. And sometimes this works and sometimes this doesn't. Like it's one of those kind of weird things with Google. The other super important thing, and the good thing about this is, like, everyone I kind of see gets this right, because it's not too hard in the allied health space, but getting the right category. So just picking that one category. If you are a physiotherapist, just get, I think it's physical therapy in this space. It's American, but osteopathy and it definitely the main category you want. Don't pepper, like, don't have like 6 categories and, you know, massage and all this. Just kind of stick to the one category that's sort of like your bread and butter. Google reviews is a contentious one in APRA world, but there's, you know, we can ask patients for a review, and they can leave it on, you know, they can sort of write about, you know, the customer service was great. The thing that we kind of want to avoid is sort of, you know, saying, you know, visited Michael and he cured my cancer. Like, that's just not going to happen in physiotherapy. They can absolutely help with that, but, you know, APRA just don't want to be you know, that we probably can go into a rabbit hole here, but it sort of makes sense. A few things we can't really control, but proximity of search to a physical address. So if I'm in Melbourne and I'm searching for Brisbane, then I'm probably not going to kind of see that Brisbane address, even though I might type in physiotherapy Brisbane. There might be something closer that comes to me. So if you are in Brisbane and you do have a clinic in Melbourne, then that's where we say, you know, no, absolutely get the 2 GMB listings, and even have separate location pages. And another tip is even to, the website, link the website in your GMB to that actual location page as well, if you're kind of running a clinic with multiple locations. Consistency of citations. So this touches on link building. So citations are links in directories. So if we think about Yelp and Yellow Pages, that's ultimately what we're talking about here. There is a really good service called Bright Local. So I'll just show you. And they do links, citation links for about $2 a link, I believe, Citation Builder. You don't want to go get hundreds of links because that just won't look organic. But, you know, if you can kind of get 15 at a time, I think they charge like $70 or $50 or something. And then you can, yeah, basically, you know, do that over time. So you might do, you know, 15 links 1 month, 15 links in 2 months' time, etc. Again, just kind of keep it consistent. But the big thing is, and Bright Local are really good on that, is making sure your details are exactly the same as Google Maps. So you don't want different open times in these directories to your Google Maps, because Google will be like, hey, what's kind of going on here? On-page SEO elements is a factor halfway down the list. So kind of getting, you know, making sure you've got your name, you know, your clinic name, your address, your phone number, open times on the website, either on the contact page, homepage, or both, or even in the footer as well. And it kind of makes sense for the user, you know, as someone kind of visiting, you know, your website, they just want to see where you're located and your open times, and also the phone number. Map pack listing engagement is a factor as well. So that means someone coming to your Google Maps and clicking the directions to get to the clinic. So, you know, you could just tell all your staff every time they drive to the clinic just to click the directions on their way. And that might help a bit. Just kidding. Maybe not. The organic user behavior. So the more information we can have in our GMB, the better. So meaning people open up the GMB, they might read through the post, even create some FAQs and answer them yourselves. And then people might read that, spend a bit of time on the GMB, and that's a factor. And then kind of quality authority of like inbound links to the GMB as well. So a really easy way to do this is just linking from your location page, which I actually never went through on this. And you might just have links that just link back to the GMB, or even just embedding the Google Maps, something like that will definitely help in a big way. So the takeouts from that, sort of like our best practice for Google Maps. So one, focus on your Google business profile. Sort of what I was saying before is, pick, the one sort of business category, physical therapy. I think it actually is for physiotherapy, but osteopathy and chiropractic. Have a process to sync your name, address, and phone number across the web. So the citation. So use a service like Bright Local. There are a few of them out there. Bright Local is probably the most, probably up there in terms of cost, but they just kind of do a good job, and we use them for our clients. So I recommend them. And the other thing with this as well is like you can go to services like Fiverr and pay $10 or $50. I don't know. I would recommend it against it. It might work, it might not. But I'm kind of like keep things above board. You just don't know what's around the corner for the Google gods. Have a review strategy, within the ARPA regulations. They can leave a review, but, just kind of be careful with that. Optimize the website, citations, Google Maps, as I've shown you before, the keywords, URLs are important, and then internal and outbound linking is really important. So just coming back to our location page. This is actually a location. So Ivanhoe is one they've got. So I've got the physiotherapy Ivanhoe here. We've got physiotherapy in the URL. The title tag up here is physiotherapy Ivanhoe. And then I'm also just playing around with the different types of words, physio, physiotherapist, physiotherapy again. So you kind of figure that out, but just kind of play around with those words. And then the other thing we do is, we've got our open times. We link to our service pages here. Book now, read more. So this chunk of text was taken from the about page. I speak to a lot of clinic owners that don't like a lot of content planted on the site. That's fine. Leave the homepage, about page with minimal content. With my kind of SEO hat on, we do want 600 plus words. But if you are kind of creating these location pages, then I'd sort of encourage you to have more words here, because this is kind of our gateway page, and we want to do our best to rank. So this is what I've done for this page, sort of like our services, who we are, what to expect when you see us. Frequently asked questions are a really good one, like our practitioners, and just see a little bit about Ivanhoe down here. I've got links to Google Maps, so Google Shopping, Google Attractions, and I kind of always play around with this. So what that means is I might come in here the next month and just test something different. Book now buttons, as I was saying earlier. With these, so there with Clinicos, we can actually generate specific links in Clinico to say services, or in this case, the practitioner. So we've got Amir, we generate the link at Ivanhoe, and then the user's not having to sort of stumble across all their way around, Clinico to make a booking. They already know we're in this practitioner's account, and just kind of makes it easier. And the same kind of goes if you're on your service pages. Why should they see the podiatry or the exercise therapy booking options? It should just kind of be, straight to the physiotherapy service as well. So that's kind of like just another tip. And then, internal other things around the internal links. So, on your blog post as well, don't be shy to link out to other websites as well. It might even be a competitor. It doesn't matter. Like if that competitor is ranking in Google for that keyword, just link out to them. If it is relevant, and you might find some articles on Wikipedia, or if you kind of have like something. So like here, we're kind of making a statement. Worldwide neck pain is becoming increasingly common, with around 2/3 of people experiencing neck pain at least once in their life. So we kind of want to link that out to the publication. And these kind of pages are great because we know they rank really well. Google know a lot about them, and it kind of, they'll be able to see this. I'll go, okay, well, we're talking about physiotherapy for neck pain. This is related. Common causes of neck discomfort. So this kind of is another article we've written. And here is like a Wikipedia link. This is our service page. So we're kind of playing around with what we call the anchor text here. So physiotherapy treatment program. So something that some, people might search, might be rehabilitation, stuff like that. And then, book an appointment as well. You can link it to the Clinico page. I kind of like to keep it in the Contact Us page, just because it'll give us more value with SEO. Otherwise, like Clinico, like this URL gets that value, so you kind of lose any benefit. Having said that, if someone clicks it and makes a booking, then that's kind of going to work in your favor and works against what I just said. So that's kind of like your internal linking strategy, and just tracking your Google business as well. You can get tracking numbers, just keeping an eye on. If you're going to make all these changes, you kind of want to work it. You want to kind of keep an eye on, what's working and what's not working, and, where the improvements come. And then, if you make some changes one month, the next month you see the numbers go out, phone calls go up, then, how can you kind of double down on that? The big thing that so this is a bit of a shameless sell, I guess. This is where the sell comes into the webinar, is we do digital PR for our clients, and that builds up that EAT concept that I was talking about. So it's kind of like this unique method that focuses on that, experience, authority, and trust that Google want to know is built within a website. So strategically writing articles and also then press releases, which I'll take you through in a moment, brings expertise to the table or to the subject. The PR gets kind of picked up by publications. So if you are going to use HARO, or bottle source, that's going to build your authority, and hopefully get you some links from the news and media sites, and then publishing content on these sort of sites as well is going to pass trust to Google's algorithm. So even if you've got some, even if you kind of have like associations that you feel you can go to and write some articles for, that would be amazing. And just say, hey guys, I've written this article, and chance you can kind of publish it on your website. Make sure you link back to your website. But that's kind of big thing in this whole kind of link building, or what we call digital PR strategy. So what we do is we use digital PR to establish your experience, build credibility and authority, and then pass the trust to your website through what we call our media room. So this is the example of the media room. we just literally build the page on the site. We've got all your kind of details here, which are really good links for Google, builds like, you know, their understanding of the business. And then, you know, we're literally just copying this article that we've written in your blog post. We're optimizing it for Podiatry East Ivanhoe in this instance, and kind of put a bit of a PR spin on it. But really the content is from within the blog post. And then we've got the Google Maps embedded, images embedded, all the links go out here, and then this kind of just gets syndicated around the web. So these are just American sites. They don't rank in Google, but they're just all about sending these signals to, you know, the relevant pages. The one thing that I want to kind of point out about this strategy is that all the news sites actually use this same strategy. So if you think about, I don't know if you've ever stumbled across an article in news.com, but what can happen is they actually take an article that was published on the New York Times, and they basically republish that. They might change like 20% of the 30% of the article, but the crux of the content is exactly the same. And then they just have source, you know, this, they'll say at the start, like, this article first appeared in New York Times, and then they link to the original article. So that's ultimately what we are doing here. So next steps, so a bit of homework. And so I think, you know, if you guys can kind of optimize the website just with more book now buttons, just a simple one, just, you know, at the end of every paragraph, just add the book now. Even if you don't know how to create a button, just, you know, just create a link, you know, book now, make it capital letters, really obvious. Even you can even up, you know, up the font size. And then, but buttons are kind of better. Update the content of your homepage and about page and service page. So maybe just go to your homepage and just kind of review it and just think to yourself, is this a conversation are we having? Is this the same conversation? Is it the same language as if I'm having with a patient? Yes or no, maybe it is, but just tweak it a bit and maybe add a new heading, maybe a softer heading. And then, you know, one thing I actually love to do is double up on the heading. So don't know if you kind of, you know, like just here, we're here to help. And then I kind of have like a smaller heading, you know, get through the next steps easier, physiotherapy that supports you, or, you know, how we help, instead of having that big heading there, you know, if we're getting the word our physiotherapy service in here. So it's kind of like great for the user, but even better for SEO. Also just optimizing your website for, you know, modality plus location. So in this instance, because we have multiple locations, I've kind of got it in these location pages. But if you've just got the one location, see if you can log into WordPress and update the title tag to physiotherapy or whatever your service is, plus location, and maybe even just update one of the tags, the title tags, heading tags as well, and just sort of see what happens. Create landing pages for neighborhood pages. So I never really showed this during the talk, but just coming back here. So we have like East Ivanhoe is next to Ivanhoe, but we have a dedicated page for East Ivanhoe Physiotherapy, East Ivanhoe Physiotherapy, but we've still got our location details of the main Ivanhoe clinic address. Optimize your Google business. This is a real easy one and just like will just work wonders. It's just adding content to your about section and the service section. Just literally log into your GMB and it's pretty straightforward to do. Start blogging. I know it's easy for me to say, but I'm not the one writing the content, but it just works. And even if you've got existing blog posts, you might create one blog post and then go into another blog post that you wrote, even if it's a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and just add another paragraph, like just as I was showing you before, search for what you think the keyword you're trying to target, and just look at the people also ask questions, and just add, a block of maybe 200-300 words answering that question. Definitely sign up for Gravatar, and then sign into your WordPress with that. Create a user under that email address, and then when you're creating your articles, just make sure in WordPress you assign the author. And even if you have a whole bunch of older articles that are sitting there, just update the author to the new author that you've created. Sign up to Help a Reporter and SourceBottle. You kind of can get bombarded with these emails, but just kind of keep an eye out for them. So just coming back to what we do. So we're all about web presence marketing solutions. We're here to help you market and build your brand, your clinic online. We do brand consulting. So I work alongside a lady by the name of Joan, who's a copywriter. She's unbelievable. I love her, love working with her. And between us, we kind of like to sort of strategize with you, understand, what you specialize in, how we can help you differentiate yourself. We know in popular areas the market is saturated, so how can we kind of position yourself as the go-to in women's health, or the go-to in men's health, or whatever. We build websites and develop them. We manage the web presence, so SEO, which I've kind of described here in this presentation. We do content generation as well. So I've got another copywriter that's a scientist. She writes blogs on your behalf. They're kind of 80% accurate, 90% accurate. Just we kind of like to sort of get you to put the finishing touch to that blog post, but that might only take 15 minutes of your time. And we do the Google ads as well. Again, we just sort of get learnings from all the different clinics that we work with, which makes it wow, we can kind of get some good results. And then the last part is this sort of digital PR strategy that really I've kind of sort of talked about today. So I know there was a lot to kind of unpack in this presentation. And I know that because I attend these webinars as well a lot of the time, I hope that you can kind of pick out one or two things that you can kind of do today. But yeah, I kind of encourage you to just shoot me an email if you kind of have a bunch of questions, or if you kind of even manage to make some tweaks on your website and you just want that feedback. I'm happy to kind of audit that. Or if you kind of wanted to pick apart a couple of points and just say, hey, I want to know how this applies to my website, for the next few days, which I'll send you a follow-up email, and I'll put that offer out there and kind of help you get your website ranked and start getting your clinic marketing well. So yeah, thanks for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you guys soon.